July 20th, 1944. Deep within Hitler's fortified headquarters, the Wolf's Lair in East Prussia, a bomb detonates during a military briefing. But Hitler survives. Within hours, news spreads. The assassination attempt has failed. Within hours, the coup unravels. Conspirators are arrested. One of them is Field Marshal Erwin von Witzleben, the highest-ranking officer involved in the plot. He had been chosen to lead the German armed forces in a post-Nazi government, but now, with Hitler alive and vengeance underway, von Witzleben knows the cost of betrayal. But how did a loyal servant of the German military elite become a traitor in the eyes of the regime? And what drove him to risk everything to end Hitler's rule? The path that led to Erwin von Witzleben to stand against Hitler began decades earlier in the militaristic culture of Imperial Germany. Erwin von Witzleben was born on December 4, 1881 in Breslau, Prussia, as part of an aristocratic family with a long military tradition. His father, Georg von Witzleben, served as a captain in the Prussian army, continuing a lineage that stretched back generations. The von Witzleben name was synonymous with duty and discipline. Von Witzleben's military career formally began in 1901 when he joined the Grenadier Regiment, embarking on the traditional path of a Prussian officer. His early service coincided with Germany's growing military ambitions under Kaiser Wilhelm II. The young officer advanced steadily through the ranks during the pre-war years, absorbing the strict code of Prussian military conduct that emphasized duty, discipline, and loyalty to the state. When World War I broke out in 1914, von Witzleben first served as a brigade adjutant in the 19th Reserve Infantry Brigade. He was later promoted to company chief in Reserve Infantry Regiment No. 6. His combat experience included some of the bloodiest fighting on the Western Front: Verdun, Champagne, and the fields of Flanders. Despite serious injuries, his bravery earned him both classes of the Iron Cross, marking him as an officer of exceptional merit. The German defeat in 1918 and the subsequent Treaty of Versailles transformed the military landscape. The once mighty German army was reduced to a mere 100,000 men. For career officers like von Witzleben, this meant adapting to a dramatically altered institution. He continued serving in the Reichswehr of the Weimar Republic, working as a company commander and eventually rising to major on the 4th Division staff in Dresden by 1923. By 1931, he had attained the rank of colonel and commanded Infantry Regiment No. 8 in Frankfurt an der Oder. When Hitler rose to power in 1933, von Witzleben initially accommodated the Nazi regime, seeing in Hitler a chance to rebuild German military strength after the humiliations of the Versailles Treaty. That year, von Witzleben was appointed commander of Military District 3 in Berlin, a prestigious post that placed him at the heart of German military power. His career advanced quickly under the Nazi regime. As Germany rearmed, experienced officers like von Witzleben were promoted, yet even as he accepted those honors, his doubts about Hitler began to grow. The first significant crack in von Witzleben's loyalty came during the infamous Night of the Long Knives in 1934. When Hitler ordered the murder of SA leaders and political opponents, the victims included two respected military figures: General Kurt von Schleicher, a former chancellor, and Ferdinand von Bredau, his deputy defense minister. Unlike many who remained silent, von Witzleben joined several other high-ranking officers, including Erich von Manstein, Wilhelm von Lieb, and Gerd von Rundstedt, in demanding an official inquiry into the murders. The Blumberg-Fritsch affair of 1938 marked a decisive turning point in von Witzleben's relationship with Hitler. When the Führer engineered the removal of General Werner von Fritsch, the commander-in-chief of the army, using fabricated homosexuality accusations, von Witzleben spoke out against this blatant injustice. Hitler, who was systematically removing military leaders hesitant about his war preparations, would not tolerate such criticism. As punishment for his outspokenness, von Witzleben was forced into temporary retirement. Hitler's military needs, however, soon outweighed his desire to punish von Witzleben. The Field Marshal's expertise proved too valuable to waste as Germany prepared for war, and he was recalled to active service. This return did not signify renewed loyalty, but rather presented von Witzleben with opportunities to observe Hitler's military incompetence firsthand. By 1937, von Witzleben had crossed a dangerous line when he became involved in what historians now call the Oster Conspiracy, named after Hans Oster, a senior officer in the Abwehr, Germany's military intelligence service. This early resistance movement formed within the highest ranks of the German military and included several generals who were alarmed by Hitler's aggressive foreign policy and his apparent determination to lead Germany into war. The Oster Conspiracy represented a significant threat to Hitler's regime from within. The conspirators, including von Witzleben, had concluded that Hitler's leadership posed an existential threat to Germany. Their plan hinged on a specific trigger event, Hitler ordering an invasion of Czechoslovakia. They believed such an invasion would lead to a broader European conflict that Germany wasn't prepared to win. Von Witzleben's command of the Berlin Defense District gave him control over key military units in the capital, a crucial position for the plot. In hushed meetings held in private residences and through carefully coded messages, the conspirators developed plans to arrest Hitler and his key supporters if the invasion order came. The tension during these secret gatherings was palpable. Each conspirator knew they were gambling with their lives. The Munich Agreement of September 1938 temporarily diffused their plans. When British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain and French leaders agreed to Hitler's annexation of the Sudetenland, they unwittingly undermined the conspirators' immediate justification for action. Without the Czechoslovakia invasion as a trigger, the plot lost momentum. Despite the setback, von Witzleben continued his resistance. In 1939, he joined Generaloberst Kurt von Hammerstein-Eckord's audacious plan to eliminate Hitler during an inspection of the Siegfried Line fortifications. The plan called for arranging a fatal accident for the Führer, but Hitler never accepted the invitation. In September 1939, von Witzleben took command of the First Army on the Western Front. During the 1940 invasion of France, his forces broke through the Maginot Line and forced multiple French divisions to surrender. For this, he received the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross, and on July 19th, he was promoted to Field Marshal at Hitler's Grand Field Marshal ceremony. In May 1941, he succeeded Gerd von Rundstedt as Commander-in-Chief of OB West. Less than a year later, he stepped down officially for health reasons, though some sources suggest he was pushed out after criticizing Hitler's decision to invade the Soviet Union. As Germany's military fortunes declined after 1942, with defeats at Stalingrad and El Alamein, von Witzleben's determination intensified. He recognized that Hitler was leading Germany toward destruction, which only cemented his commitment to removing the dictator from power. These early resistance activities established von Witzleben as one of the most senior and consistent opponents of Hitler within the military, creating the foundation for what would eventually become Operation Valkyrie, the most famous attempt to assassinate Hitler and overthrow the Nazi regime. Von Witzleben's role in the July 20 plot against Hitler was pivotal. The conspirators designated him to become Commander-in-Chief of the Wehrmacht after Hitler's removal. This appointment was strategic. The plotters understood that transitioning power from Hitler's regime would require legitimate military authority that both German soldiers and the civilian population would recognize and respect. The provisional government had a clear structure, with Generaloberst Ludwig Beck as head of state and Karl Goerdeler as chancellor. The civilian-military partnership aimed to restore legitimate governance to Germany after years of Nazi tyranny. Von Witzleben's authority was essential to legitimize the coup. As a field marshal, he represented the highest rank of the German military establishment. His distinguished service record and status as one of Hitler's original field marshals gave him unquestioned credibility among the officer corps. Military units would likely follow orders from von Witzleben rather than lower-ranking officers. His aristocratic background and traditional military values helped bridge gap between different resistance factions. On July 20th, 1944, von Witzleben had clear responsibilities. Once the Wolf's Lair assassination succeeded, he would travel from the Army High Command at Zossen to the Bendler Block in Berlin. There he would assume command of all coup forces, issue orders to secure Berlin, and arrest key Nazi leaders. The day began at 12:42 p.m. Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg detonated his bomb during Hitler's military briefing. Believing Hitler dead, von Stauffenberg flew to Berlin. The conspirators at the Bendler Block launched Operation Valkyrie, issuing orders to military units around Berlin. But where was von Witzleben? As crucial hours passed, the field marshal remained absent. The plot's momentum collapsed when news arrived that Hitler had survived. The heavy oak conference table had shielded him from the blast. By early evening, radio broadcasts confirmed Hitler was alive with only minor injuries. Military commanders began reversing their support. Von Witzleben finally reached the Bendler Block at around 8 p.m., hours too late. The opportunity that might have changed history had vanished. According to witnesses, he surveyed the disorganization with visible dismay. "This is chaos, what have you done?" he reportedly exclaimed. After just 45 minutes, he returned to Zossen, recognizing that the attempt had failed. By nightfall on July 20th, the plot had completely collapsed. The coup forces disbanded as arrests began. The Nazi regime transformed von Witzleben's final days into a calculated spectacle of revenge, designed to punish the conspirator and intimidate anyone who might consider opposing Hitler. On July 21st, 1944, just one day after the failed assassination attempt, von Witzleben was arrested at his country estate, approximately 30 miles from Zossen. General Lieutenant Victor Linartz of the OKH Personnel Office carried out the arrest. demonstrating the efficiency with which the Nazi authorities moved against the plotters. Von Witzleben's disgrace unfolded systematically. A special tribunal called the Regular Army's Court of Honor stripped him of his rank and dishonorably expelled him from the Wehrmacht. This expulsion served a calculated purpose, removing him from military jurisdiction and placing him under the civilian People's Court, where harsher punishment awaited. By August, von Witzleben stood before Roland Freisler, the most notorious judge in Nazi Germany. Freisler, a fanatical Hitler loyalist, transformed the proceedings into theatrical humiliation. The trial's outcome had been predetermined. Its purpose was to degrade the conspirators publicly. Von Witzleben's presentation in court embodied this degradation. He appeared wearing ill-fitting trousers without a belt, forcing him to constantly hold them up. When he attempted to adjust his clothing, Freisler barked, "How dare you adjust your trousers in this court?" This calculated indignity transformed the once dignified Field Marshal into a disheveled figure struggling for basic decency. Despite this orchestrated humiliation, von Witzleben displayed remarkable defiance. Upon approaching the bench, he gave the Nazi salute, an act Freisler immediately forbade, declaring it reserved only for honorable comrades. Throughout the proceedings, Freisler hurled verbal abuse, calling him a dirty old man and a traitor to the fatherland. Yet von Witzleben remained unbowed. In his most defiant moment, von Witzleben addressed Freisler directly. "You can hand us over to the executioner. In 3 months, the outraged and tormented people will call you to account and drag you through the filth in the streets alive." These prophetic words, delivered facing certain death, revealed his conviction that history would vindicate him. Though filmed for potential inclusion in German newsreels, propaganda minister Goebbels suppressed the footage, fearing Freisler's aggression might generate sympathy for the defendants and spark unwanted public discussion. Von Witzleben's execution on August 8, 1944, at Plötzensee prison represented the final act of Nazi vengeance. Hitler personally ordered an execution method designed as the ultimate desecration of military honor, hanging from a meat hook using thin hemp rope. This perverted execution denied him the soldier's death by firing squad. The procedure was methodically cruel. This method caused slow strangulation rather than a quick death, with victims sometimes struggling for up to 20 minutes before they died. Hitler demanded these executions be filmed, however the footage has since been lost. Von Witzleben, who had served Germany through 2 world wars and reached its highest military rank, met his end not as a soldier but as a criminal, his final dignity stripped away by the regime he had tried to topple. Well, that's it. Thanks for watching. We hope you found this video informative. If you enjoyed learning about today's topic, make sure to check out our video about Roland Freisler, the Nazi judge who sentenced thousands to death. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more World War II content. And we'll see you in the next one.